Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed building video. So in today's video I'm actually building, it's kind of like a renovation. I think it's called the Magnolia Blossom. It's a park that we got with base game in Willow Creek. It's on I think it's a 50 by 50 or maybe a 64 by 64. I'm not completely sure. It's a big lot, I'm just gonna say that. And so there was originally a park here, and the park is great, and my Sims always just tend to come here, but I find that there's not actually that much for my Sims to do, and so I decided that I wanted to renovate it, and it's just a nice family kind of park where you can bring all members of the family. You could bring your cats and your dogs as well if you want, because there is like some food bowls and stuff, and it's just like a nice little family outing place. I actually decided to make it into a cafe. So this little building which I'm doing right now is what the cafe turns out to be. This was kind of the structure of it, but I didn't want to just have it as a park. I wanted to have like a little coffee shop option, so maybe if your Sims are walking their dog or playing around in the kids area or something, they might want to go for a cup of coffee or something like that. So I decided to actually make this part into a cafe, but your Sims still will use it as a park because it still has like all the other options, and you can still use it basically as a park, but it just is located, like it's classed as a cafe. I don't know why I said located, but it's classed as a cafe on the gallery and actually in the build details, but it is actually kind of like a park, but it's just got a cafe on it. And it's nice because your Sims could maybe be in this little cafe drinking some coffee or whatever, and their children could be out playing around in like the basketball area or whatnot. And I just thought it was a really nice idea to make it into a cafe instead of just like a generic kind of park, just because it gives your Sims more things to do when they come here. And like I said, there's something for every member of your family. And so yeah, but as you can see, I kind of got the structure of what I wanted the cafe to look like. I kind of made it look like a little house, which I actually did intentionally. I quite liked that. It looks like a house, but you can kind of tell that it's a cafe, which I really like. And I actually used the front door from Stranger Things, but I actually really wanted to use it in the blue swatch. There is a baby blue swatch that it comes in and a dark blue swatch. You can get the baby blue like all over the door, but I just wanted the baby blue where the yellow is with still the white trim. But sadly and annoyingly enough, we don't have that in the game. So I just opted for like a yellow door, but I made all the interior of this little cafe kind of like a baby blue. So it kind of ties in together there. But yeah, so you can kind of see I'm just putting it all together now, and I've actually done like a little seating area outside as well. So there's about 4 or 5 tables inside the cafe, and there's probably about 10 outside. I did some on this like raised up bit, and then I also did some on the like outside just below the steps kind of thing, just so it kind of ties in all together. But as you can see, we're now moving on into the interior, and I want to say this now before I forget and I skip over it. I didn't actually include the footage of me doing the bathrooms because they are just plain generic kind of bathrooms. There's nothing too special about them. I just kind of thought that it would be a really long video if I kept it in. It's already like 22 minutes as it stands, this video, and I don't really want to make a super long video, especially as my last 2 videos on my channel were like half-hour long videos each, and so I kind of wanted to make it as short as I can. But this build did take me quite a long time because the lot that is on is just so big. But yeah, so there is no bathrooms you won't see the bathrooms being furnished, but they are furnished, so don't worry about that. But yeah, so you can kind of see that I've just put the espresso bar down, and I actually had some trouble with the espresso bar because it comes in some swatches which are meant to match some of the swatches that we have with the base game counters, but they didn't match perfectly, which is really annoying. But eventually I found a swatch which actually does match, so it kind of looks like it ties in together. I originally wanted to go for a lighter wood than the darker wood, but it was the only one that I could find that matched perfectly, and so I just decided to opt for the darker wood. And I still think it ties it in because we've got a lot of white wood in the interior of this cafe, and then we've got some white kind of aspect on the wallpaper and the furniture, and I think it still works, but I would have preferred if I could have had it in a white swatch which actually matched with the counters. But yeah, so as you can see, I'm just going around, and now I'm just going to put in the tables, and I didn't know what tables to put in first, but I actually went for the base game ones, which I don't actually tend to use that often, but I thought they looked really, really nice in this. I originally did it on a grey swatch, but I changed it to a white swatch, and then that's kind of how the blue ties in as well, because I used the cats and dogs chairs which we got like with cats and dogs and the blue actually matches the wallpaper perfectly, and it's just one of the little things that you put down in your game, it matches, and it's a rare occurrence in The Sims, so I was really, really happy with that. And over here I'm just doing this like little bookcase area, and I actually changed up the bookcase, but I didn't want to delete that window because I know it is quite annoying when you kind of plan out a build and everyone's watching it and then you kind of end up deleting a window, and I didn't want to do that. I've seen a lot of people saying on Twitter and stuff that it annoys them when people do that, so I didn't want to do that. And so I did actually end up keeping the window in, but it was kind of like a struggle for me to kind of figure out what was going to go where and all that kind of stuff, but it comes together in the end. And I added this little kind of board above the side table in between the two bathrooms, and I thought it was like a nice little piece for maybe your Sims can come into the cafe and look for local job postings. Maybe someone needs a gardener or something like that. I know that we can't actually do that in The Sims, but it's just a little bit of imagination, and I just thought it was a nice little touch. I really wish at some point we could have something like that in the game though. I know it's probably never going to happen because that would probably be too complex to program or whatever, but I think something like that would really, really go down well in The Sims and just in the Sims community in general. In my personal opinion, I would absolutely love something like that where your Sims could hire your other Sims to come around and do jobs. I know we can hire our other Sims to be bartenders and stuff like that, or chefs, but just something like hire a gardener, which would be really, really cool, I think, in The Sims. But I don't know, we've still got a lot of content left to come in the game, but I'm not really going to hold on to that one, but I thought it was just a nice little idea anyway. But now I'm just going to finish up this little cafe, and now I'm actually moving on to the exterior of it. So I actually use the get together tables, which I rarely use. They're actually really, really beautiful tables. I just don't often use them, and I use them in the pink swatch. I thought it was like a really, really nice swatch, and I actually used the matching ones on the exterior of the cafe, so like below the steps, but I didn't like the colour of the umbrella, so I actually changed the tables on the like below the steps, like kind of like the garden area, but I kept the same ones, the same pink ones on this bit. And I just thought it would be nice if it was a nice summery day, your Sims could come out, and instead of sitting in the cafe, they could sit outside the cafe and just watch everyone in the park. I just thought it was like a really, really nice little idea to do. But now I am just doing a little bit of landscaping, and the landscaping, I cut out quite a lot of it, but I also kept some in. I didn't want to completely cut it out because obviously this park is going to have a lot of landscaping, but I basically did the same kind of plants in different areas, and I actually originally used the structure of how they had the plants in the original park, so I didn't bulldoze the park, as you can probably see. I kind of used where they put them and just kind of added to them or deleted them, or some of which I did delete completely, but some cases I just kind of kept, and I just kind of made it my own. And I upgraded some of the plants we had some from Romantic Garden Stuff, which was really, really nice, so I used quite a lot of them in my build. I do actually tend to use them quite a lot, the Romantic Garden Stuff, just because some of the plants that we got with that are just so beautiful. And now I just put in this little fountain, and it's actually really confusing. I don't know why the Romantic Garden Stuff fountain isn't in the fountain section of the build and buy menu. It's in the buy menu, but not kind of like the build menu where all the other fountains are. And it's really strange. I don't know if there's any other fountains that do that, but I noticed when I was doing this build, which was quite annoying, but I really, really like that fountain, and I love like the kind of mould bit around it. I think it gives a really realistic touch. And so yeah, and now I'm actually doing some more toilets. So obviously we have some cafe toilets, but I wanted there to be some more toilets, maybe if your Sim is not part of the cafe, like they didn't come to the park to go to the cafe, and maybe you have to buy an item to use the toilets. A lot of places do that. And so I wanted there to be some actual toilets, and I actually thought that there was like a toilet, like little set kind of thing that we got with like a game pack or something. I know that there is like toilet sets with outdoor I can't even say it, the outdoor retreat pack. I know that we got some of them kind of toilets, like they kind of like, not toilets, but they are toilets, if that makes any sense. They're kind of like the food stalls, like you kind of just go, you actually just disappear when you go into them. I don't know why we don't have that in the build and buy menu, but I decided to make my own, and I kind of made it look like outdoor toilets as well. So I used the archway that we got from Cats and Dogs, and I kind of wanted it to be like a kind of inny outy kind of toilet. So as you can kind of see, I did like the half walls around the side of the build, and I think that looks so realistic. It kind of reminds me of the toilets that you get when you go to a zoo, because a lot of them look like this, or the zoos that I've been to in general, they kind of look like, the toilets kind of look like this. I don't know why, but I just thought it would be better instead of just having kind of like a little block. So I did do this kind of half wall bit, plus it does give some privacy as well, because obviously the entrance to the toilets is an archway, although the toilets are cornered off and there is 6 of them. I just thought it would be better if I do like this half wall, and then I could decorate it a little bit more and just make it look a little bit more realistic. But yeah, and so now I'm just going around and I'm trying to figure out what to put around the toilets, because there isn't a lot of like public toilet clutter and stuff like that. So I kind of put like some signs and like a little exit sign and all that kind of stuff, just to make it look a little bit more realistic. But yeah, so now we're moving on into another little bit of landscaping. So this is the biggest area of landscaping all in one, so it's kind of like this circle, and obviously it was here before. I'm just adding to it and just kind of deleting to it, and I, as you can see, I added a lot of pink and white flowers. I just love pink and white flowers in The Sims. They're just so beautiful, and I originally was going to use this romantic garden stuff bush, and I love that bush, and I don't think I've ever used it in a build, just because I never really know where to place it, and it never really fits in. It always looks kind of strange to me, just randomly in like a back garden or whatever. So I was planning on using it in this build, but I actually delete that and replace it with a willow tree, which I think it looks so much better and more realistic for a park, because although parks do have gardeners, I don't think it would be that manicured like of a plant. So I did just add this willow tree, which I thought was really, really nice. But yeah, and so I actually kept this bit of footage in, because I think it's so satisfying to watch people go in and delete loads of objects. I don't know if that's just me. I just absolutely love just going into a house sometimes and just bulldozing everything. Like the sound of the bulldoze tool is just really pleasing to me. But now I'm just doing this little sandbox kind of area, so I imagine this was kind of like an area for kids to play and toddlers. And so I do add the climbing bars from Romantic Garden Stuff. There's a lot of Romantic Garden Stuff in this park, but it's kind of one of the packs that you can really use in a park, so I definitely use it to its full extent. But I added their monkey bars, and I added the swings that we got from Seasons, and just some little toys in and around kind of the sandbox to make it look a little bit more realistic, so it looks like toddlers have been playing and stuff like that. I do obviously add a toy box and a teddy bear, and I actually add that, I don't know, I think it's like a food thing with the little suitcases on the trolley. I thought that was really cool. I don't think I've used that much, but I thought it would be nice if maybe like the toddlers were to come here and they want a snack or something. And I actually use these kind of stepping stones objects that we got with Toddler Stuff, and I was actually really disappointed when we got them, because I thought that there could be some animations of maybe the toddlers stepping over them, which sadly we don't have, but it's fine. I kind of imagine that maybe that it was in between the monkey bars, and you could have 2 children playing on the monkey bars and then toddlers just kind of in between it. But anyway, so now I'm just moving on, and at this point I just kind of wanted to get all the stuff that I knew I wanted in the park out, and so I could kind of structure my way around it. And so I kind of put out like the basketball hoop, the toddler thing, and then the pirate ship. I actually didn't end up using the toddler. It's kind of like a toddler jungle gym. I didn't actually end up using that just because I didn't actually find a space for it. I was going to use it in this back corner over here, but I decided that I wanted to have a basketball hoop. Like I said, I wanted this park to be for all members of the family, so maybe some teenagers could come and use the basketball hoop while the children kind of have like the little soft play area. And I don't actually have that many lots with the basketball hoop in. I do it sometimes in my residential builds, but not too often, and I just thought it'd be nice for people that don't have it in their homes to come here and just play basketball and maybe get their skill up and all that kind of stuff. And so I wanted to do kind of like a little basketball section, and I used the fences from Get to Work, and they just kind of match a basketball court perfectly, so I was really, really happy with that. But yeah, so now I'm just going around, and I wanted to add this little bonfire thing, because I thought it was quite cool. And I think you can add, like, you can dance around it, you can add marshmallows to it and all that kind of stuff. And so maybe this back corner of the park next to like the basketball court is kind of like where the teens can come and chill out. Maybe on like a Friday or Saturday night they could come here and just chill with their friends, or in their clubs if you've got get to work, or no, it's not get to work, it's get together. The annoying thing about the naming of the packs is I always say the wrong pack because it just slips off your tongue. It's just annoying, but I mean it's kind of funny because a lot of them are get to something. But yeah, anyway, so I added this little barbecue area as well. There is quite a lot of barbecues around the lot. This is kind of the first place where I put them, but I do kind of put them around kind of like the centre of the lot as well, just so other people who don't want to maybe sit in the corner can go and, just go and like make some baked potatoes or whatever. I don't even know what you can use in the grill. I don't actually use the grill that often. I normally only ever use the grill in like once in a blue moon. I don't really use it, but I know you can get baked potatoes because my Sims always randomly make baked potatoes at like 2 o'clock in the morning, but it's fine. But I also did add the graffiti object so your Sims can maybe paint and stuff. I didn't add any easels around this lot, and so I just decided that will kind of be a good alternative, and I did it on the back of the calf, so maybe some naughty teenagers or whatever could go around there and just graffiti and stuff. But I actually did add the rollerblading thing. I don't know what it's actually called, but your Sims can rollerblade on it. We got it with Seasons. I haven't actually done a build with it yet, and I really want to use it, but it never seems to appear in my game. Like, it's meant to appear in random neighbourhoods, like random lots, like in the neighbourhood section, or just sometimes it can be in like communal areas, but I just never find it. And I really want to send my Sims roller skating. I've literally done it like 2 or 3 times since Seasons has been out, and so I wanted to add it in this park because it was somewhere that I knew that you could definitely go roller skating. So if you wanted to go roller skating, you could go to the park and there'll be like a roller skating rink, which I think was quite cool. And then I do actually just add this little kind of seating area right next to the toddler bit, like the toddler, I'm gonna say toddler park because it's basically like a section of the park which is for toddlers or children, but maybe some parents can come and watch their children while they're playing the park and maybe have like a little catch up with their friends or something like that. But now I'm just going around and adding some bins and stuff, and now I'm actually moving back to the calf area and adding them tables which I was talking about. So originally the pink tables had this kind of purple umbrella, and looking back on it now I kind of like it more than what I originally did when I first saw it, but I just didn't feel like it fitted, so I actually changed it to the black ones, which I thought just made it look a lot more presentable and just kind of tied it in better. But yeah, so now I'm just going around and adding some more trees and stuff. I did delete quite a lot of the trees on this lot, but I wanted to add them back because it's obviously a park. You're gonna have a lot of trees in a park, so I wanted to add them back in and just kind of keep that park feel and not too built, like more like of a natural park and less of a like built up kind of park, if that makes any sense. But I did actually also add that statue from Romantic Garden Stuff, which, like I said, Romantic Garden Stuff is just perfect for a park because there's so many things that you can do in the park and place the objects which you couldn't normally justify a place in the house unless your house is really fancy. But I'm just going back and doing some more landscaping, and I added the fountain from Romantic Garden Stuff, and it's very similar to the big fountain. Like the center part of the big fountain is very similar to that little fountain, but I don't think I've ever used that little fountain, and it's just such a beautiful fountain. I don't know why I don't use it much, but it's fine. But yeah, and then I'm just going around and adding this little park sign, and I thought it'd be nice maybe like a little notice board when you go into the park, maybe like keep your dog on the lead and stuff like that. And then I actually kept the pond which we got with the park. So the Magnolia blossom comes with this pond, and it also does have ponds around the park, but this is actually in the debug menu and I didn't want to delete it, and so I moved it around throughout the whole entire build, but I finally settled on this being its placement, and I kind of added some more flowers and just tried to make it look a little bit more presentable and kind of a little bit more realistic, some like overgrown stuff here and there. And I wanted your Sims to be able to fish in the park. I know, like I just said, there is fishing spots around the park, but I thought it'd be nice just right next to the little toddler bit. It is kind of a little bit dangerous if you think about it now, because like pond right next to a toddler park probably isn't the smartest move, but it's fine. The toddlers won't go in there anyway, so it's no harm really. And now I'm actually going to go around and just do kind of like the finishing touches. I didn't actually do any of the terrain manipulation or anything like that in this build, but I left all the terrain paint to the very end, because often I find that I'll put something down and then I'll put terrain paint around it, and then sometimes I'll just delete it. And so I decided to leave it all to the end, and it's really nice that I left it all to the end, because with terrain paint it just brings it all together and just makes it feel a lot more realistic and just like a park. And I actually really like the terrain painting in this build. I obviously use like different sands and stuff for like the little sandbox, and I use some gravel for the basketball, and it just, the basketball court, not for the basketball, but it just looks really realistic with the terrain paint, I think, and it just kind of brings the park all together, and I just think it looks really nice. And one of my favourite bits of the terrain painting in this build is actually this little section here next to the toddler bit. I just really liked how this bit turned out, especially with them little tables. It's just really, the terrain paint just really brings the build together, and it just really makes it more realistic, like I've said. But I do just love terrain painting in The Sims. It's one of my favourite things to do when I'm landscaping, just because it just brings everything together. But underneath this willow tree I did actually add some dried grass. So realistically, if a big tree shadows a lot of grass, it's going to kind of kill the grass, and so I did some of that into this build just because the tree actually has a big shadow over the area, and so I thought it would just be nice just to kind of switch up the terrain painting a little bit. But yeah, and I actually did also add some toddler potties and some dog food bowls as well in this build, just because I thought that your dogs might need to eat and your toddlers might need to go for a wee or something. But like I said, so there is literally everything for the family in this build. So if you want to download it, it will be on the gallery. You can search for my origin ID, which is JessicapieYT, or you could search for the hashtag Jessicapie or JessicapieYT. So yeah, but I'm just going to wrap up this voiceover now. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me build this park, and as always, if you do like my content, then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next speed building video. Bye guys.